afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our chapel meeting. If I could have your attention, please. Today we'll hear from 8 seniors, starting with Matt and ending with Christian. As you know, we're heading into the final 2 weeks of our winter trimester with many events on the calendar, including the dance shows at the end of this week, end-of-season athletic contests, and the telethon right before we depart for March break. Before our seniors begin, Stacy has an update to share about the resumption of our campus energy reduction contest, and then we will turn to Matt Belize. Stacy.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Stacy Yurkovskaya. I'm happy to announce this week on campus is Energy Week. Each day we will have a fun event, and throughout the week, boarders will also compete in an electro contest. This term, the dorms will compete for 4 prizes, and you will learn more about them from a follow-up email. During the fall term electro contest, we performed way better than our results from last year. This time, let's do even better. So this week, if we're able to achieve an overall 15% reduction and save 2,000 kilowatt hours, there will be a prize for the whole community, an ice cream truck. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is our first Energy Week event, the Blackout. For this event, we will invite dorms to stop using all electricity during Tuesday night study hall. This event is optional, and your dorm must sign up if you want to participate. If your dorm successfully participates, you will get ahead in the electric contest, and you will also be rewarded with an ice cream party Tuesday 10 p.m. after study hall. Those who participate and use the least electricity will be allowed out of dress code Wednesday if wearing black for the theme of Blackout. I will send an email later today detailing our other events for the week. If you want to learn more about what is going on this week and see the updates of how each dorm is doing, follow the Electro Contest's Instagram. Also, throughout the week, the Effect Club is going to tell us more about electricity and its usage at Suffield, so follow their Instagram too. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day, Suffield.
You know, Miss Yeager told me I only had about 3 to 5 minutes for this speech. No chance. First, I'll say I'm pumped. I really am. If there's one takeaway that I got from Mr. Brissett's honors U.S. history class, it would be to never start your chapel speech with, "For those who don't know me, my name is." So I'm not going to do that. Most of you already know me. I would like to say, however, I am going to start with a prediction. Some of you probably wondering, "Police, what is this prediction? We're up here on a chapel speech." It's the prediction for how many of you drop your freaking phone during my speech. I just want to see how many are we going to get today? I'm excited for it, really am. Oh, there we go. There's one. Who we got? Good work. There's one. Tally off one. I will say, start with a little sip. A little sip of my venti white chocolate mocha with 2 pumps of peppermint, just to get the blood flowing, a little heart rate boost. Yeah, you can clap for that. You see As Lauren Carey tells me, I have bought enough of these to own an island by now, so it's pretty impressive. But I will say, this chapel speech is going to kind of go how my life goes. Disorganized, with some laughter and some fun, little hints of Belize. So I'm going to rehash some old football stories for you and somehow convince me to keep on playing. I'd like to take you back to freshman year football preseason. 86 degrees outside, just ready to go. Walk down to our brand new home field, shut helmet in hand. When I first got down to that field, I saw Mr. Godin standing there with his luscious white locks. And I instantly knew that is a seasoned Suffield veteran, okay? After standing around with my teammates, I noticed walking down from Tisch, Coach Gamir and Mr. Brissett. Where I first thought that came to my mind, those two were twins. Legitimately the exact same person walking out of that field. Was sure of it. And you know, of course we went on through a normal football practice until the end when I was put on scout team defense, playing outside linebacker. And if my memory is correct, I'm pretty sure Coach called 23 ISO, Van Dyke took the snap of the ball, hand off to Tyler Pereira, Zidane Williams coming out of the fullback run. He's blocking as a fullback. And there he came. Big dude, ladies and gentlemen. Came and hit me right below my chin, sent me flying like a Boeing 737. And I mean, I landed down, crash onto the turf. Sat there for a second, and my teammate slowly came up to me and peeled me off the turf, and I thought, there's no way I'm doing this again. No way. But I'll tell you what, I decided to get back up and keep playing because it was just too dang fun. Just because I'm talking football, I'll throw another freshman year football story for you. This one is incredibly embarrassing, so I will give you full permission to laugh. We had a JV football practice. We were running plays where we play positions where we normally don't. I was thrown in at wide receiver where I caught an out route followed by the defense doing a pursuit drill to simulate a tackle. Play was over. Defense went back to their huddle. I started walking back to mine with the ball in hand. And at the time, our JV football coach, Mr. Foote, was apparently not too impressed with the previous set of plays. So he screamed at me, "Why aren't you running?" And I just started freaking out, not thinking clearly. I just started to run. Turns out it was the wrong way. Yeah, you can laugh, I know, embarrassing. But I'll tell you what, despite running the wrong way, getting my ass knocked down every practice by Benedict and Leighton, I wouldn't change my decision to play football to save the world. I appreciate all the battles and the friendships that I made, and overall, just to say to all of you who I've been in contact with football with in my last 4 years, thank you. And I'm going to take a little more serious approach to this speech. I would like to thank some people. To Mr. Carroll for making math classes past 2 years so incredibly fun. To Ms. Norris for putting up with my constant questions and in-class shenanigans. For Mr. Brissett for drilling into my brain his infamous quote, "Attention to detail." To Mr. Dugan, thank you so much for giving me a chance in the school play, and I hope I reinvigorated the role as Dracula. To Ms. Namens, from mi corazón, gracias por el consejo constante, el apoyo y por permitirme hacer muchos chistes en la clase. Gracias, Ms. Namens. To Mr. Poley for somehow letting me able to sing and dance every class, and to Mr. Coates for your philosophical jokes that always seem to get me a laugh. Mr. Pistol, my advisor, thanks for having my back, and as always, I hope I've made a valuable contribution to the Pistol Pack. And to the little one, also known as my brother Dominic, to the kid who could never get his butt up in the morning, I love you, and I'm sorry for leaving you at home that one morning.
Thank you.
There he is, there we go. To my dad and mom, I could stand up here and tell everyone why you're the greatest parents, but you already know that. And I'd rather tell you thank you for allowing me to come to such a beautiful place like Suffield Academy. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my friends. Ben, Luke, Tyler, Max, Cole, Harrison, Nico, Noel, Michael, Hannah, Devin, Ella, Bella, and Lauren. I've had so many wonderful memories with you all in our own unique ways, and I just have to say, I have y'all's backs, and I love and appreciate every single one of our friendships. And to Noel, although it pains me to say, you are in fact the better Madden player, I have to admit it. This is kind of a culmination to a fulfilling past 4 years of my Suffield career, full of ups, downs, laughter, learning, and a few slips on the broomball rink. I've made so many great friends and been taught by so many wonderful teachers and have memories that will last a lifetime. And I'll end this disorganized brilliance of a chapel speech by saying that my prediction for phones dropped was 4. I think I'm a little high on that. And that if you get your butt knocked down on the football field, here we go. If you get your butt knocked down on the football field, I promise you it will be your best decision to get back up and keep going. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Harrison Camp from Suffield, Connecticut, and this is my 4th year as a Suffield Academy student. In December 2020, during the height of the COVID pandemic that has profoundly affected every one of us, I was scrolling through Netflix one night when I found a movie that looked pretty cool. I never would have thought the next 2 hours would change the way I've been thinking ever since. It's called Into the Wild, and it's an award-winning book turned into a movie that covers the life of Chris McCandless. Chris grew up in Virginia and graduated from Emory in 1990. However, after graduating, he fully separated himself from the life he had pursued and lived up to that point. He had changed his name to Alex, abandoned his car, donated his life savings to charity, and moved up to Alaska, and lived off the land until 1992 when he headed north for the Alaskan wilderness. He lived out of an abandoned bus with no material possessions other than those in his backpack. He had created a completely fresh slate and was living a life that nobody had ever lived. His spirit was higher than ever. He had escaped society and was living freely and was extremely happy. This was the lifestyle Chris had always wanted. He once said that no longer was I poisoned by the civilization I fled, and I walked alone upon the land to become lost in the wild. Here, alone in the wild, he had finally found happiness. Unfortunately, it was short-lived. See, Chris died in August of 1992 from starvation, and his body was found a few weeks later in his abandoned bus by a group of moose hunters. Chris's story is obviously extreme, and I'm not here to suggest we abandon society and those we love. In fact, I believe we have great opportunities in front of us and can help enhance the world. Yet Chris's story has stuck with me since the night I learned of it. Actually, it's done more than stick with me. It's helped shape my views on what matters, and ultimately what likely does not matter. I greatly admire his pursuit of inner peace and distaste for extreme materialism. We do not need to go into the wild necessarily like Chris, but I do believe we should all focus closely on issues of proportion. What do we actually need? And do those around us have enough to live dignified and complete lives? And are we making the earth better, or are we just consuming? My sense is that reflecting on these topics regularly, as I have since stuck in my house during the COVID lockdown in my bedroom, is that it helps make us healthier mentally. And for me, it becomes a check in my head about what is necessary and what's excessive. I certainly understand there will be moments that excess still occurs, like when we buy clothes or food or other items that we don't necessarily need but want. But there will be a governor or a regulator on balancing these personal desires with a grounded approach to be one of many that I hope will lead me and maybe others here to healthier, better places as human beings. Another topic I've thought a great deal about is something Chris seemed to learn at the end of his journey, but really only at the end of it. He wanted to be alone, free of other people and material possessions. He wanted to live fully off the land. At the end of Krakauer's novel in the film, Chris McCandless carved a phrase into a piece of wood that said, "Happiness is only real when shared." He had previously held two long-term assumptions. One being excessive materialism is unhealthy, and two, that people can find joy and meaning by connecting with the earth and forsaking human relationships. My strong sense is that he learned that the first one is accurate and the second one is not. I feel an essential part of being human is sharing, serving, and spreading joy. And these actions make others happy, but also bring us personal meaning and an awareness that a central part of being human is connecting in meaningful ways by sharing what you can, like your time, your things, your smiles, and good wishes. It really is amazing how the inspiration we draw in life can often come when we're not looking for it or expect to find it. I was hoping to pass a few hours on another night during a dreary, seemingly unending period of social isolation and sadness. But I stumbled upon not just a great film and story, but one I'm certain I will never forget, and will help shape my future and the way I think about my role on Earth and the life I want to lead. So always remember to keep your eyes and ears open and be on the lookout for moments that may change you, even when you might not expect them. And when you have a few hours, go check out Into the Wild, like the movie or the book. They're both awesome. And if you haven't already. And one thing for sure is there'll give you a lot of interesting topics to reflect on and think about. Thank you all, and I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day.
Asa, my name is Henry Kiyogi. I'm a four-year senior from Santa Monica, California. Today, I'd like to talk to you guys about a memorable moment during my time at Suffolk. It was a cold April afternoon, and all I could think to my freshman self was, I don't want to be here. My knuckles were white as I tightly gripped my tennis racket. The varsity tennis team had a home game against Avon Wolf Farms. Earlier that day, Coach Yuan told me that I was going to play number 4 singles, instead of my usual number 6 spot. Because Suffolk had a long weekend, my family decided to take the almost 6-hour plane ride from Los Angeles to come watch my match. Although I was excited to show them how much I improved since the last time they'd seen me play, I was also slightly nervous, knowing I'd be playing better competition than I usually do. The day of the match came, and the conditions outside were not ideal. While it was 55 degrees out and sunny, the wind was whipping at my face. As I watched most of the shots I hit in warm-up Korean at me. Due to the limited number of courts available, I had to wait almost an hour for one of the other matches to finish before mine could begin. By the time my opponent and I took the court, the weather was even worse, with strong winds and a 5-degree drop in temperature. The match started off somewhat even, with both of us holding our serves, but my opponent quickly took control and decisively won the first set 6-3. Starting the second set, I felt quite frustrated, and before I knew it, I was down 3-0, and more discouraged than ever. After the changeover and talking to Miss Yuan, I felt much more confident. I could see that my opponent was getting tired. I was able to break his serve and was now down 3-1. After a lengthy second set, I somehow managed to come out on top with a score of 7-5. I realized that all my teammates had finished their matches a while ago, and I was the only match left on the courts. In the third set, we played a 10-point super tiebreak instead of a traditional full set. The tiebreak began, and I could definitely see how nervous my opponent was. He had much more pressure on him, considering he was a senior and I was a freshman. I started off the tiebreak strong, building a 3-1 lead. But after that, things started to slow down, and we found ourselves tied at 3-1. In the end, I managed to win the tiebreak 10-5. As I went up to shake the hand of my opponent, I could see how frustrated he was. Although it could have been easy for me to give up when I was down 3-0, it was much more rewarding to stay in the match. Playing tennis has taught me the importance of never giving up and trying my hardest no matter what I do. Just like coming to Suffield Academy, there's a level of responsibility and independence involved, being on your own. Both on and off the tennis court at Suffield, I've had the opportunity to mature and learn important life lessons. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Greystone, and I'm from Southborough, Massachusetts, a small town just outside of Boston. My first visit to Suffield Academy was for an open house, and I knew immediately I wanted to come here. Everyone I met seemed genuinely interested in me and seemed happy and proud to be here, students, faculty, and the maintenance staff. I remember pulling up in front of Brewster, and there was a man doing some maintenance work. We asked for some directions to Centurion to register. So he said, "Follow me," and jumped into his Suffield truck and took us there. Today, I have the same feeling of community, so I guess I made the right decision when choosing schools. As I reflect on my 4 years at Suffield, I have come to the realization that I had only about a year here that was not impacted by COVID-19. Up until spring break of my sophomore year, we didn't need to wear masks, and there were no restrictions on how we ate our meals. It was the time before Microsoft Teams, so if there was a snow day, you actually wouldn't be able to attend class. COVID introduced a new dynamic that shook everything up. At Suffield, COVID took away our ability to freely interact with our classmates, making it much harder for new students to connect with other students. Online classes through Microsoft Teams for several hours a day was not what we signed up for, but we didn't have a choice. I didn't know at the time, but I would consider myself lucky to have had that first year without restrictions. I was able to get acclimated and take advantage of all of our school had to offer. I enjoyed giving campus tours to prospective students, telling them all the great things about Suffield and leaving out anything that might annoy us. The COVID experience made me realize that sometimes you don't know how lucky you are until what you have is taken away. I'm thankful for the way our school approached the pandemic. They implemented procedures and a testing plan that safeguarded the health of students and faculty alike. But they also recognized the importance of in-class learning, sports, and all the things that are important in preparing us for success beyond our time at Suffield. But what is learning? Education is hard to figure out. We've all taken courses we think we'll never need, but you never know. I remember taking a course one summer to receive my certification to go scuba diving. This took a whole week, and they spent a lot of time teaching us how to do CPR and first aid in the ocean. I knew it was good, but I was also thinking, why spend so much time on something I'll probably never actually be needing to use? But around a year later, while at a beach on my school trip, I noticed one of my teachers was in distress. She was bleeding, and after some rough surf, she was bleeding after being in some rough surf and was in shock from scraping all rocks and reefs below the surface. My training enabled me to get her to the shore and treat her wounds until others came to help. Needless to say, I did get an A in her class, though. I remember growing up hearing all about how my father got an 800 on the math SAT. So if I had any questions, I would go to him. However, he would often say, he had no idea, with the excuse, this isn't how it looked when I was taught. So what was the point of the 800? I'm beginning to realize that everything you learn has a purpose. It may not be to expand your mind or to teach, it may be to expand your mind or teach you how to approach a problem. My father may not remember how to explain calculus to me, but he believes that 800 on the SAT has a relation to his analytical thinking and reasoning ability. When I think of Suffield Academy, it always comes back to the camaraderie you have with your classmates, the friendships you build with your teachers, and the sense of community that I felt on that first day I came to visit the school. Going to Suffield is much more than the education you receive. It is the start of some lifelong friendships. I think about how I've changed during my 4 years here. I arrived at school as a kid that had a lot to learn, and I leave feeling like a young adult that can conquer the world. Thank you to the administration, the faculty, and my classmates for welcoming me to the community I was attracted to 4 years ago. I am thankful for the support you gave me, and I hope I helped to make the Suffield Academy community the special place that it is. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Declan, and I'm a 2-year senior from Ridgefield, Connecticut. When I came to Suffield, in the midst of the pandemic, I didn't have the slightest clue about what it'd be like. I visited once, and being a new kid was not something I'd ever done. I spent almost my whole life in Ridgefield, Connecticut with the same group of friends, and coming to Suffield was my first real experience living in a new place with new people. When I arrived at school to unpack with my parents, I encountered my new dorm parent, Miss Lopez, and needless to say, she was scary. I remained in my room until practice later that day, and my elusive roommate was still nowhere to be found. When Luke Village came back to the room that night, I was excited to finally meet him and talk. However, Luke made it very clear quickly that he did not want a roommate, especially one that he had not met. Although we shared interests, Luke spent most of his time on TikTok. He even asked me if I would move out at one point so he could room with Max Schwartz. At the time, I didn't know Max, so I didn't think much of it. But looking back now, I'm very offended, Luke. The first weeks at Suffield were very odd. COVID had prevented social interactions with most of the school, so I began hanging out with the kids on my floor. Although I did feel like the new kid for a while, everyone I met was welcoming and kind. The exception being my current roommate, Benedict Bullard. Benedict didn't seem too sure of me the first week or so. He would stare at me any time I walked into a dorm room, and hardly respond when I talked to him. I never really understood why, but after a couple weeks, and multiple close Madden games, his cold demeanor was gone. Similarly, Miss Lopez turned out not to be scary at all, and was actually very funny and an amazing dorm parent. Luke, on the other hand, did not seem to enjoy my presence, and eventually, I resorted to a strategy I had learned as the youngest child in my family. I would continuously annoy Luke just enough until he snapped. After about a month, and multiple verbal altercations, we finally gained a mutual understanding of each other. If I didn't interrupt his TikTok time by throwing footballs at him, we would be on good terms. All jokes aside, Luke proved to be a great roommate and an even better friend. I'm grateful for the experiences I've had up to this point at school, and they've taught me a lot. But most of all, it has allowed me to make relationships that will last my lifetime. My time at Suffield has enabled me to become a better student, athlete, and friend. I want to thank Mr. Pistol, Coach Gamir, Mrs. Bashaw, and Ms. Lopez for supporting me through my time at Suffield. You are all incredible faculty members as well as people. Most of all, I want to thank my mom and dad for giving me the opportunity to come to Suffield. I will not forget your sacrifices, and I will make you proud. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Suffield. My name is Tyler Milne, and I'm a 4-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut. I know that a lot of you think I'm going to stand up here and talk about what my knee injury has taught me, but brace yourselves.
That's not me speaking. I'm sorry. I come from a family of athletes, as my grandfather was an All-American football player and longtime college coach. My grandmother was a field hockey and swim coach, and both my parents were collegiate athletes and coaches. Therefore, I was immediately introduced to the sports as soon as I was born. Flashback to my kindergarten co-ed soccer team. I was just beginning my athletic journey on the Red Dragons, comprised of me and future soccer prodigy Jack Lynam. In a fierce weekend matchup against the Golden Dragons, comprised of many other kindergarten prodigies, my soccer journey began. The first half flew by, then the second, and then the final whistle blew. I hadn't touched the ball once. On the car ride home, my mom asked me, "Tyler, you do know you have to touch the ball to play soccer, right?" And being the gentleman I am, I responded, "Yes, Mom, but I don't want to hurt any of the girls." This concerned my parents, as they did not know what would become of me. In my family, the theme for my grandfather is that you never quit, and I had heard many stories of how he had given my mom the infamous "you don't quit" speech. Was this about to be mine? Flash forward to middle school, and I was now playing for my club team. One game, I was very nervous and scarred after being talked to sternly about my playing for my coach. For the second half of the game, I did exactly what my grandfather would have loved me to do, and I faked a stomach ache. This resulted in my parents pulling me off the field, taking me to the car, and finally giving me the never quit speech. They even threatened to cancel our family vacation if I didn't get back on the fields. These events have haunted me through the years, and never again will I quit on something, unless it's AP Stats. Sorry, Mr. Carroll. Now flash forward all the way to high school, as sports began to get serious. I now started to focus on being able to play in college. My confidence and work ethic has grown a lot, and although my years at Suffield have been hard work, with blood, sweat, and tears, many memories have been created, just as they were when I was younger. Whether it was the deep conversations on the ski bus home, or the late-night texts and calls from Mr. Warren, where he somehow ends up explaining to me how the team will win it all in 2045. There is always something to enjoy. With this enjoyment, though, these 4 years have been a series of pushing myself both mentally and physically. Okay, I promised I wouldn't talk about it, but I feel like it's inevitable. Many of you know that I have sustained 2 ACL injuries in the past year, adding up to 20 months of recovery. Yes, it is traumatizing, but as some of you may notice, I do not like to open up much about it. When asked how my knee is feeling, you may get a short "good," or "it's coming along well," but not much else. This brings me back to my grandfather's speech. I don't feel the need to open up about my knee or my issues to people, as I would much rather let them see for themselves and work in silence. Through the years, I have grown to realize that the work you put into something will equal the reward that you get out of it. Anyways, I'm sorry if I don't elaborate on my recovery process, but just know that I do appreciate you asking. This injury provided me with many lessons, one of those being that you don't need to flaunt your hard work. People will always notice you if you work hard. Coming into Suffield, I did know some people from my previous school, but I was now challenged with creating new friends. I had to step out of my comfort zone to find new people and new things to do. I was continuously academically tested, on top of social and athletic events. Similar to my soccer journey, at first I was timid and reluctant to get involved, but I've realized that persistence is the key to success, and that is what has made my 4 years so amazing. I want to close with a quote from my grandpa himself, an inspirational quote that reminds me every day that no matter the challenge, get up and push through it. Suck it up. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Max Schwartz and I'm a 4-year senior from Aspen, Colorado. I have always considered myself a happy, outgoing guy, always looking to crack a joke and lighten the mood. A new change came to my mental well-being during the start of my sophomore year. I found myself under tremendous pressure to be perfect, which was something I never had been stressed out from before. I never cared about being perfect, but as I felt the real world was getting closer and closer, the walls started caving in. I felt pressure from my family, from my friends who were doing better than me, and from myself. The need for impressive extracurriculars, perfect SAT scores, and a stellar GPA became too much. The mistake I made here was thinking I had to have everything figured out and comparing myself to others. My second mistake was thinking that I was the only person who felt like this. I was eventually able to overcome these anxieties by embracing what my great-grandfather always said: success is failure turned inside out. Ask for help when you're struggling. This community is designed to help you succeed. While Suffield is a place of learning, I spent most of my time learning from my mistakes. So I'll do you underclassmen a favor, and I'll tell you some of the mistakes I made here so you can try your best to avoid them. One of my first mistakes took place freshman year when I thought it would be a good idea to write over my health center note and add 10 minutes to it so I could get a snack bar bagel. I was sure that my teacher wouldn't even look at the note and definitely would never snitch on me. I probably would have gotten away with it, but needless to say, Mrs. Kaplan and I have very different handwriting and pen colors, so it was easy for Miss Longo to determine my tricks. Showing up with a bagel in hand probably didn't help either. The lesson here was carry blue and black ink and eat the bagel before you get to class. I'm sure many of you rely on ENR's service just as much as I do, and freak out when you miss a day and have to do the laundry yourself. One year, ENR decided to lose every single piece of clothing I owned, except for one pair of ripped jeans and a pink Coach jacket. I had a few hoodies and some underwear left, but as a result, I was out of dress code every day for weeks. My advisor at the time was Mr. Edwards, who has a debilitating phobia of students out of dress code. He graciously offered to bring me to Costco and help pick out dress clothes for the remainder of the school year. As tempting as this offer was, I had to turn it down, because I just can't pull off the bow tie fits like you, Mr. Edwards. Even when he stops me this year for being out of dress code, I joke and say that ENR lost my laundry. The lesson here is don't send all your laundry at once, and you should choose Julie's. However, I still use ENR because after they lost all my laundry and gave it to a student at Berkshire, my mom went full Karen mode and demanded that I get 4 years of free laundry, which they gave her. Growing up in a small town, never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined finding a place where I belonged and felt such a sense of family and support. I remember my revisit day, meeting Harrison in the lacrosse team, and I immediately felt included in the community, and it was a place that I knew I could learn and grow. I never realized how much my great-grandfather used to say that success is failure turned inside out. I've had many failures during my Suffield time, but I realize now that they are my successes because I learned and grew so much from them. Before I end, there are so many people who have helped me through my life and during my years at Suffield I would like to thank. Mr. Pistol, thank you for always looking out for me and listening to my nonsense when I come into your office with it. Thank you for helping me out, as I've definitely been the student who needed the most attention and help problem solving in this advisory. Thank you, Anu Heya, for helping me write every single assignment I have had here and being one of the only people I can talk to anything with. Also, thank you, Mr. Carroll, for making me feel at home and helping me through my math work and all the sports debates that we have. Thank you, Senor Lopez. Gracias por ayudarme a expandir mi hablando en español. Obviously, she didn't do the best job. Y por crear el mejor ambiente de clase en la escuela. Ustedes merecen el mejor elogio de cualquiera de mis maestros por tratar con mi mierda de toro durante. Thank you to my friends, especially the Pistol Pack, who have been my family the past 4 years. Thank you to my mom and stepdad and dad for all the support. You guys have been with me through everything and have been a much-needed guide through life. I also want to thank my Uncle Eddie and grandparents, because without you guys, I wouldn't have had the opportunity and inspiration to go to Suffield. Have a good Monday, and thank you for listening to my chapel speech.
I'm Christian Williams Jones. I'm a 3-year senior from the Bronx, New York. For all of my schooling, I attended institutions where I was truly the minority. Throughout elementary and middle school, I was one of 2 black boys out of a class of 40. Continuing to high school, there were few black students, but comparatively to elementary and middle school, there were many. Never feeling fully comfortable in school because of the lack of my black counterparts actually cultivated a passion for black history within me. As time went on and I became more well-versed, I began to inform others about issues germane to black people. I also saw how systems of the past still affect people in good and bad ways, and how it showed itself in my life. Stemming back from slavery, the black family unit was broken up in order to prevent rebellion. Still to this day, the black family is weakened through mass incarceration, violence, war, and unemployment. Because of this, we have been able to create groups of people be considered to be family, even without blood relation. The dictionary definition of a family is a group of 1 or more parents and their children living together as a unit. We're all descendants of a common ancestor, as stated by the Oxford Dictionary. But I do not fully agree with these definitions as they relate to my life. Throughout our lives, people come and go through a revolving door. We build relationships and we lose some. Life and the people we encounter all have some type of effect on us, but the ones who leave a great impact are family. For me, there needs to be a distinction between relatives and family. I have a great number of blood relatives, but I do not consider them all to be family. And on the other hand, there are many people in my life I'm not related to by blood, but I consider my family. My godmother has been in my life since the day I was born. Because of her relationship with my mother, they've been best friends for over 25 years. Through my godmother, I have a relationship with her relatives, and all the Cabellos and the Williams are my family. My godmother's children are my god siblings, but in actuality, they're my little sister and brother. Lauren and Lance, I love you with all my heart. Suffield is truly a special place. Here I've gained a few close friends which I consider to be family. Noel, I was first introduced to you as my mentor, but I know you as my brother. I appreciate you for always looking out for me and letting me use the couch as a second bed. Jonah, thanks for always being a solid friend. By the way, I'm better at FIFA than you. The idea of a family is a strange one and it varies to who you ask. To me, a true family is denoted by loyalty, genuine love and concern, and the willingness to go to war for them. Family is a group of people who embrace each other and create a bond which cannot be broken by any means. Lastly, Mom, thank you for all that you've done for me. You know me better than I know myself, and I don't know what I would do without you. I'm forever grateful for the support you've shown me, and thank you for the early mornings and the late nights. You're my motivation. I promise to make you proud one day and return your investment in me. Love you infinitely.